direct hits on sight. I'm your type, lend me your ears to show you that there's something in me. I'm not giving up, I'm standing right here, holding these days hostage, and I'll make this my year. We turning fear into love, and the love's in the air. I love doing this cause nothing compares, nothing can share that same type of feeling when you feeling them flares. They can't catch it, it's havoc. I rip to a tear, switch the scenario, my stereos, I leave them impaired. Variables start to change and they're all in my range. I just gotta grab it, it's all mathematics. Every step is drastic, I make it fantastic. I'm trying to take your breath away, asthmatic.
This is live through the stereo. Go and let it blow, blow through the stereo. I'ma let them know through the stereo. Yo, here we go through the stereo, stereo. This is live through the stereo. Go and let it blow, blow through the stereo. I'ma let them know through the stereo. Yo, here we go through the stereo, stereo.
Yeah, just nod your head with it, so explicit and vivid. Every image is intricate, intimate. I put my all into it, no scrimmage and no rules. I'm a pro tool, hear my heartbeat, beat into the vocals. I'm so loco, lost my mind, oh no. It's ponderoso, dope, so no overdose, cause it's dope, yo. Man, this is house grown, mixed with some milestones. So I let the style flow down like the Dow Jones, bringing it with some foul tones, letting the crowd know we getting loud, so it's eardrum rudiments. Yeah, we bring it rude again. Move, little hooligan. Music for tuning in, full time to the 10. I'm on my clock like I told you. I'm doing this for dreams we pursuing.
back online. Okay.
There we go. All those points you just made were to me, Nick, and I really appreciate it.
TB, I was just talking to you, man. Anyway, we're back. How long was that thing dropped? Did you see it?
I wasn't even completely sure it was dropped, but I think it was basically your entire point.
We're having some technical issues. Anyway, we're back. We're back live. DB Schwartz, welcome to the program, dude. How you doing tonight?
Hey, not too bad, man. You made a good point where we're on the verge of things escalating, not only in Syria, but it seems like all kinds of hot points around the world, and this Comey distraction. I mean, inevitably what they're going to turn up is that forever, both sides have been deeply embedded in each other's intelligence apparatuses and political structures. I mean, does anybody really think that the wall fell by itself? I mean, we use clandestine operations to facilitate that and hurry it along and bring it about. And, you know, they would love to return the favor by splitting our country into little pieces, you know?
No doubt. And here's the funny thing. Here's the funny part. Back to let me make this point again, because I don't know where we got cut off. I'll make it short. I won't go through the whole, I won't go through the gauntlet again. But basically what I was saying is that the news cycle right now is focusing in on James Comey, and it's focusing in on Russia hiding underneath my bed at night. And it's not focusing in on the fact that we're basically at war now with Syria. For the third time, we've now bombed the Syrian government. For the third time that we know of. So we're basically at war with Syria. And, the ironic thing here is that we're inside of Syria, inside of their country, and then we're saying, oh, well, we're bombing them out of self-defense. So, that itself is just you got to be a mental gymnast to kind of, understand that and make sense of it and say, yeah, that makes sense. No, it doesn't. It doesn't make sense at all. You don't go inside of another person's country and then bomb that country because you're saying they were threatening you while you're inside of their country. If I did that to somebody else, if I broke into somebody's house and said, oh, well, I shot that person because, the homeowner of the house that I broke into was going to hurt me, so I felt threatened, so I had to shoot them, and that's my defense. It's like, oh, no, sorry, buddy, you're going to prison for the rest of your life. But that's what we're doing right now in Syria. And to the point I was making is it's not just Syria, and we've been talking about this on the show for a very long time now. When you fight with Syria, you're not just fighting with Syria. Their ground troops are bolstered by Iranian troops, and their air force is basically Russian. So when you fight with Syria, you're fighting with Iran and Russia. And, that's what the neocons and shit have been wanting to do, and that's what's going on right now. But the media could care less. They're not even talking about it at all. I mean, next thing you know, you're gonna wake up one day and it's gonna be like, oh shit, we're at war with Russia, Iran, Syria, and then it's gonna be a surprise to everybody because nobody's talking about this shit.
Well, Nick, it's like what happened with World War I and II, where the economy collapsed right before, and all of a sudden we're in a war. Well, how come? Well, they're intertwined. I mean, one leads to another. So it's a vicious cycle, the cycle of capitalism on a finite planet where they refuse to release renewable, cheap, and constantly innovative technologies because it hurts their monopolies. It would basically end them. And I'm not sure if it was you, Nick, or somebody posted that the age of money is ending and the age of innovation is beginning, and all the wars and all the political hoops, every circus act we're seeing right now is just delaying it because the people that have been at the top for thousands of years, I kid you not, they have been there that long. They can't stay on top if we all have access to the same tech and the same info they do.
Yeah, man, back to the same idea we were talking about on Monday. Decentralizing everything is the underlying principle here that is going to ruin the monopolies for the dudes that have been oppressing us. And like you said, I mean, these are the same type of people who've been doing this for 1,000 years or longer. They've been oppressing people all around the world. We end that soon. Soon we are going to end all that oppression by decentralizing using technology. Whether it be through power or food, water, communications, and all that stuff. We're going to decentralize all that stuff, and we're going to have a free world soon. But first we have to prevent World War III, and we have to not let these assholes kill everybody off before they try to take the whole world down with them, because they don't want to lose their power and their monopolies on control, and they'll go to that length. I mean, they'll go to that length. These guys that have been so used to controlling everything for so long, they'll take the whole damn planet with them. They will. They're doing it right now. Look what they're doing. They're polluting the whole place. They're using up all the resources. They're doing whatever in the hell they want.
Nick, do you think it's any coincidence these two major kingpins recently have passed away, Rockefeller and Brzezinski? I mean, people understand that we really, truly, and I mean, when I say people, I mean foreign governments, foreign secret societies, they realize that the United States government's holding 6,000 patents. A lot of it's Tesla tech. Those 6,000 patents could free us tomorrow. When you see pictures of people starving in Africa and when you see people camping in tents outside of Seattle, that would end tomorrow if those patents were released, because energy, food, and education would become essentially free. And once you take the stranglehold off those three things, then what do they have left to control us with except creating the next luxury? And everybody's seeing the death of consumerism, Nick. I mean, cryptocurrency is going to segue into the death of consumerism. The reason is, why would I buy something a company makes if somehow I can make it myself even better?
Yeah, dude, great point. And then 3D printing and these cryptocurrencies and stuff are all going to start changing the way things are done. The internet itself is going to be re-engineered in a more decentralized way, because people have realized any person that is like a high-level academic that understands the necessity of having a free and independent internet understands that right now it's not in good shape, because it's being monopolized by people like Google and Facebook and Amazon and other players like that. And so there's actively ventures going on right now that are going to decentralize the internet, create kind of like mesh internet grids and stuff like that, where you could run an internet based on just people's cell phones connecting to each other via Bluetooth and Wi-Fi and stuff. Like there's ways around having this centralized internet where you have to pay your internet service provider. Like, I don't know, here in San Diego we pay Cox. Other people it's like AT&T and Verizon and companies like that. They play a role as gatekeepers right now, but like people are innovating their way around that stuff. And
Here in Minneapolis, Nick, this company, US Internet, I think, they're laying fiber optic cable. They're directly beating Google. I forget what Google's service was going to be. That was like T1 line, which means it's like 100 times faster than Cox or Xfinity or Comcast or any of these places, because they put a stranglehold on you as a means of control to jack the rates up. So, you want more speed, you got to pay more. Even when you're paying their top tier, you're still being held back. You're still going a tenth of the speed that you could using the actual physical infrastructure. So now that they're laying fiber optic cable, that's even 10 times faster than 10 times faster than they could actually even go. So, and it's going to be $40-$50 a month instead of 100. So it's half the price, 100 times faster.
Just wait until we start crowdsourcing satellites that we're going to shoot up into the air, and this is already going on. There's companies already talking about doing this. Is crowdsourcing satellites that we can shoot up into the atmosphere, or shoot up into orbit, basically, and provide relatively free and fast internet for the whole world, not just not just in the U.S., not just in a developed country, but for the whole world. Think about it, man. People in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of Siberia or the middle of Africa, being able to access free and fast internet. Think of the implications there.
We know what happens though, Nick, because they did that. They did it where they gave out laptops to people in like the poorest parts of the world. And inevitably, a percentage of those people are geniuses, because that's humanity. And they learn and they use that information and they help their communities. There was a kid who built a urine-powered generator. I mean, everybody in the village can just pee and then run all their lights. I mean, those are the things that are going to at least because these corporations refuse, they're going to get these people that are just stuck back in the Stone Ages, at least to a better quality of life than they're used to. And there's not a lot these corporations can do about it except just create misery and war, dude. That's the entire cycle right now.
Exactly. I mean, how many Einsteins and how many Stephen Hawkings are there somewhere in the middle of Africa that have no communications right now? No one even knows they exist, that are just waiting for a chance, that are going to suddenly, eventually be able to get access to educate themselves or to an education and to communication, where they're going, like you said, just improve their communities, and we can start bringing the whole world up together. Once we stop these imperialist wars and going to these places and jacking their stuff and subjugating the people and starting wars or creating sectarian violence and the divide and conquer tactics and stuff like we've done in Iraq so effectively. Once we put an end to that crap, the world's going to be a much better place. When people are no longer fighting and dying for finite resources and stuff, I mean, we could have a genuine chance at having world peace. I know everyone, whenever you say world peace, it's like, oh yeah, you're another hippie, utopianist, whatever. But dude, world peace can genuinely happen once we stop fighting wars for rich, sorry, pardon my French, but rich motherfuckers to take other people's shit. Once we stop fighting wars for that, then there could be a genuine chance. But and this is what's so important right now, and this is why we need to stop with this anti-Russian shit. We need to stop with Comey and with all this other crap, and we need to stop the deep state from waging wars. They're on the verge of starting a much worse war in the Middle East.
We harp on it too much to where I get sick of saying it, but if you were a Hillary voter and you feel strongly that Russia should pay for their involvement in our election, by all means, can you please go enlist and go wipe yourself off the map? Because a war with people don't understand what a war with Russia would be. None of us are going to make it. If you don't have a bunker underneath your house that you can crawl into, you're not going to survive it. The armaments and the missiles and the ICBMs that would be tit for tat back and forth over the ocean, there's no possible way we can shoot down their stuff. The new Satan rocket, they already showed we can't shoot it down. It goes way too fast, and it's going to hit all our major cities and just wipe them out. So if everybody thinks that's fun and games and you think we're going to have a World War II conventional hero type of war where we're going to go over and be, liberate Europe from the Russian menace, you're an idiot. We're all going to die. If we let these fools start a war, we're going to die. Your kids are going to die. Your family's going to die because you don't have a bunker. You don't have years of food. You don't have years of fuel. These people have been getting ready for like 70 years. They want it to happen, and they're trying to make it happen. And every time I see someone play this Comey crap, this Russia crap, all this other shit, they're trying to make you get an emotional response. We do the same thing over there. You don't think Russian people are getting angry at the U.S. government? I mean, they're playing it both ways, and there's a military-industrial complex over there, too, just as strong and influential. So I wish people would just stop playing into this.
Yeah, man. I mean, first of all, like, if the U.S. went to war, directly at war with Russia, they're so much weaker than us when it comes to a conventional warfare standpoint, that the nukes would just start flying. It's not like, oh yeah, we're going to send tanks and it's going to be tank against tank and, the best tank wins. No. Russia is much weaker from a conventional warfare standpoint that the nukes would just start flying. And in fact, they probably already have nukes planted under big cities in the U.S. just waiting for, the command to go off. And I wouldn't doubt that we do the same thing.
Nick, conventional forces are so worthless that they stopped investing in them. They still use tanks from the 80s, and we have brand new aircraft carriers that can be sunk with a single torpedo. And the reason why is because we're controlled by Raytheon and Boeing and all these other massive defense contractors that actually weaken us every single day. Every drone that goes up, they could have created, something that created unlimited energy for a community. They do nothing for us at all. And I shudder to think, Nick, in a real war where we actually had to have people fight and do jobs, I don't think we would do real well here anymore. So, whatever they're trying to get going, I just don't see the average American doing well. I actually think the average Russian person would get through a war easier than the average American any day at this point.
Yeah, I mean, we are pretty spoiled and we're pretty reliant on our grid and stuff. You take out the grid and the Russians won't be killing us. We'll be killing ourselves in the street, rioting, shooting each other. I mean, shit, we're not even doing that. We're not even in a war yet, and people are already beating each other up over political stuff. Like, our guy, and thanks to anybody out there who donated. We received a few donations after the radio show on Monday. Very appreciated. But, people are already out there beating each other up. Our journalist got beat up on Sunday by a few Antifa people. We're already killing each other over political differences. Imagine when it came down to, oh shit, I need to eat, and I live in a city where there's several million people, and we all need to eat. There's going to be a lot of people killing each other. It won't even be the enemies of this country. It'll be us killing each other from within. So we don't want to go down that road where we wind up in a situation where our grid gets attacked and our supply chains break down, and then we start eating each other.
Basically, any major country in the world, if we declare open war, me and you, we're all going to die. Because they're going to knock our grid out, Nick. You're exactly right. They're going to do it to create mass chaos. And you know what? The government could care less. They could care less. They couldn't. Like, they're so prepared for that. They're just going to dig underground, have the military protect all the openings to their caves, shoot on sight, let us fight it out, let us, drop down 90%, and then whoever's left, they'll microchip after they have their drone war overseas. I mean, they couldn't care less, man. They want it to happen.
Yeah, that's a situation we need to prevent. And so, not only is shit heating up in Syria, we have an article coming out tomorrow about the same area where the U.S. bombed Syrian troops. The Syrians are now building up a force, and it looks like it could potentially be used to go after that base that the U.S. has set up inside of Syria. I mean, we could be actually fighting a more conventional war with Syria starting in the next few days. Like, this is a huge, huge story not being talked about at all. We're gonna have a great article up on it tomorrow morning. Keep an eye out for that on theantimedia.org. But that's not the only hotspot. So we've got a couple of good stories up on the Anti-Media about what's going on with Qatar and Saudi Arabia, and again, it ties back in with Iran. And then, of course, just shortly, a day later after all this stuff was going on, ISIS is now attacking in Iran and stuff like that. So all this stuff is kind of connected, I think. And, this is something to be very, very perceptive of. Not only, like I said, not just with Syria, but pretty soon there could be open warfare between Iran and Saudi Arabia. And again, it goes back to this idea that, we've got two separate axes here. And as you said, DB, this is very reminiscent of World War I. And we've been saying that actually on this show for months and months now, that this is starting to look more and more like a World War I scenario repeating itself. Whereas you've got a bunch of these alliances that are entangled that could be set off by one bad event. And we came pretty close to it last year when Turkey shot down that Russian jet, and of course Turkey's a member of NATO. So if Russia would have started bombing Turkey in retaliation of downing their jet, that would have been it. World War III would have been kicked off. Like, it could be started so easily, and the problem is that nobody's giving a shit about that. Nobody is giving a shit about preventing World War III. And that should probably be the biggest singular issue that we should all be worrying about right now. I don't give a shit if you're a libertarian, Bernie Sanders progressive, a green, an anarchist, a Tea Party conservative, or whatever you are. Like, all the people who are not neocons and Hillary voters, we should all be in together right now saying, you know what? maybe we have a bunch of differences politically, but we all agree that we should not be having World War III right now with Donald Trump's dumbass leading us down the path of World War III. That we should all agree, yeah, that's a bad idea. But instead, everybody's all fractured and splintered, and everyone's duking it out in the street because they're alt-left and alt-right, or everybody's pretending that Russia is the largest threat to world peace, or everyone's pretending that Comey is going to drop some kind of bombshell. Go over on, again, not to give them any traffic, but let me see if the headline is still up on CNN. Okay, no, it's not there anymore. But it said Comey bombshell. Well, where's the bombshell? Like, we're waiting for the bombshell. Look, if there was something there about Russia hacking into our election, it would have been released. The evidence would have been given out, and we would have done something about it. There would be sanctions. There would be something going on with Russia, but there's not. The second thing, and I wanted to bring this up because this is, you know, there's definitely some different ways to look at this, and I wanted to see what, DB, what you thought about this too. There's a new NSA leaker by the name of, hold on, let me pull the name up. Reality Winner is her name. And so there's a new document out that kind of shows the Russian threat to the election machines. And this is something we've been talking about on the show. How long have we talked about how these electronic voting machines are susceptible to hacking, not just from foreign entities, but from people within our own government trying to fix the elections and stuff.
And Nick, it just came out recently that now there's proof that we hacked Pakistan's election using advanced biometric data. They were able to change stuff. I mean, dude, it's getting to the point now where like everything by computer that's connected to something centralized, just it's gonna be misused. We've almost got to go back old school again, even though it's inefficient and it takes a long time to get election results. It has to be where a person that's their job, not a volunteer. We need to actually have people whose job, when elections come around, is counting the vote and signing it and tallying it. So if things are off, they can find out who the hell is screwed around. And it's not just a machine, dude. They showed it. They were hacking machines in real time during elections, and they were showing how they could do it. Not only was it easy, but they could make it look like another country did it, dude. And that's why this testimony from Comey is a joke. Because unless it's human intelligence with physical evidence, and I don't even mean like video, because video could be CGI'd, audio could be changed. I'm talking about if there's enough eyewitnesses that are willing to go to jail if they lie, then you think about it. But, dude, any of this stuff, I mean, this is why WikiLeaks still to this day has massive pull, because the credibility factor is there, because no one's been able to ever call them out or disprove anything they've released. And they've become the barometer, and it's really sad that that's the way it is, but it is.
Yeah, dude. I mean, leading up to the elections, we were covering the fact that these machines are susceptible to hacking. I mean, there's an article we have up. Let's see, when was this one from? This one's from August of 2015. For $26 in an 8th grade education, you can hack a voting machine. The information's out there. You can go online and research it and learn how to hack into these machines. It's been proven. There was a whistleblower that came out and said, yeah, these machines are hackable. They're not safe. But leading up to the election, when everyone was under the assumption that Hillary Clinton was going to win, if you mentioned the fact that the voting machines could be tampered with, it was like, oh, these conspiracy theorists are crazy. In fact, Obama himself came out and said, you guys don't even worry about the voting machines. The voting machines are perfectly safe. They're secure. No one's going to tamper with them. Like, Obama himself came out and said that. And now the big leak, finally we see some documentation. This came from The Intercept, from this leaker, Reality Winner, who's now been arrested, by the way. We find out that, Russia at least has technology that is capable of attempting to hack into these machines. These are warnings that we were trying to voice leading into the election, we were called crazy for voicing these concerns because the establishment was under the impression, or maybe it was just an act or whatever, I don't know, that Hillary Clinton was going to win. But now after Hillary Clinton lost, it's like, oh, well, Russia did this and Russia tampered with the election, and now we're finding out Russia has technology to hack into these machines. Well, yeah. Like our article shows, for $26 and an 8th grade education, anybody could hack into these machines. All you need is a little bit of technical capacity. And this stuff was looked at. It's been, people have been looking at this stuff ever since the whole 2000 election between Bush and Gore. People have been looking at this, and there's something there. The machines are not secure. They can be tampered with. They're owned by. Most of the machines are owned by like one or two companies who may or may not be connected to some shady people.
They're always politically affiliated, Nick, just like everything government. It's all pork barrel, and then it's used. They're like, oh, you remember when I got you this contract? You're going to give me access codes.
Yeah, so, it's just the whole media narrative and stuff is just so hypocritical, because when we were talking about real electoral tampering leading into the election, it was like, oh, you guys are crazy. And now it's like, oh, well, electoral tampering and stuff. And it's all based on he said, she said, and this anonymous official told Washington Post that this person said that thing. And it's like, dude, where is the evidence? This should not be news. We should not be allowing ourselves to be distracted by this stuff until we see some documentation. I'll be the first person to say, you know what? Impeach Donald Trump. He was colluding with the Russians as soon as I see a document. But as long as it's the deep state feeding information to the Washington Post without giving any type of evidence, forget it. It's not, I don't want to hear about it.
They can't give evidence, because then if they give evidence about Trump, then they're gonna need to release it on all of the living administrations. Can you imagine the dirt they have? I mean, it's gonna all be released. I mean, Trump's own team will get it released, because they'll be like, well, if he's going to be under the gun for this kind of stuff, we need to go back to everybody that's still alive, even Jimmy Carter. We're going to look at all the dealings he did with Russia, because, we had a lull in our conflict while Carter was in. So maybe he was bribed. You know what I mean? Maybe everybody's an agent on either side. Maybe that's the way the world is kept in a balance, and maybe Russia's disrupting it for some reason, and they don't like that. But I mean, what are they going to release? How could they release things selectively? They really can't do it, because then it's not objective. They can't do anything, man. It's just going to be baseless accusations, dragging them through the mud. There's less to go on, actually, than Clinton's impeachment, because at least we had a dress.
That's true. That was, legit evidence. DNA. Yeah, dude, I mean, it's just more hypocrisy coming out, dude, and like always, it's not exactly surprising at this point. Anyway, hopefully everyone listening tonight has been keeping up on the antimedia.org. We've been publishing a lot of stories, man. Like, we're churning them out. I hired a new guy, Aaron Nelson. We're gonna try to get him on the show maybe next week sometime. Hopefully, try to get him on tonight. But like I said, we've been working overtime and he's worn out. But we've been churning out content. I've kind of taken somewhat of a step back from publishing, so I could focus more on just getting just making sure the whole operation runs better and runs smoother. Generally speaking, and just making sure that we could reach more people and all that good stuff. And I also promoted Carrie Wedler up to editor-in-chief. That's an interesting development. Not sure if you guys are, too familiar, but, I was editor-in-chief. I gave myself somewhat of a demotion. Now I'm just the founder of the Anti-Media. I don't even actually have like a, set position. But we promoted Carrie up to editor-in-chief because she's been doing such a great job making sure our editorial stuff is just on point, and I'm sure you guys have noticed. You probably haven't seen a typo in our articles in a long time. Of course, every now and then it'll slip through. And just the quality of our reporting has gone way up. Everything is extremely well sourced. No more I'll admit we've made some mistakes in the past with pseudoscience and, shoddy sourcing and stuff like that. None of that stuff is ever happening anymore. And if it does, of course, we'll be transparent about it and retract and apologize for it. But to the best of our ability, we're only publishing the most top-notch content, and we're expanding. We're growing, and that's really what I'm working on right now, and I'm super excited about the team that we've assembled here at the Anti-Media, and of course I'm excited about the radio show, dude. I'm happy with the direction that we've taken and kind of a little more of a philosophical route. I was really happy with last week's show. Hopefully you guys, hopefully the listeners were as happy about it as I was. But every now and then, me and DB will kind of have a show that we afterwards we message each other and we're like, damn, that was a good one. I definitely feel like Monday was, but we're gonna try to have more of those, and just expand our horizons and bring on new people and new opportunities and stuff. Because, like, despite the fact that the gatekeepers of the internet are trying to hurt us with Google, reducing ad revenues and toying with their algorithms, and Facebook suppressing controversial views, YouTube demonetizing controversial videos. Despite all that, the breeding ground is very fertile for anti-establishment thinking, and truly anti-establishment thinking. I'm not talking about bootlicking Donald Trump and these people who think that they're anti-establishment when they're out there rallying in favor of a president. That kind of strikes me as pathetic. Truly anti-establishment thinking, which in my opinion is anti-political thinking. And I kind of touched on this last show, and I've been talking about this more and more because this is something that I've been realizing, is that I think the most effective activism from my view is non-political stuff. And actually it's getting political stuff out of our lives. And many people look at political activism as, well, I do political activism because I want the government to express my views over top of somebody else's. When I think the conversation, from an activist point of view, should be, I don't want the government doing things for me anymore. I want to try to get unreliant on the government and rely more on my community to do the things that I need done. And
the government wants you to too. Has nobody been seeing the uptick in all these commercials to buy food that has 25-year shelf lives and putting gold bars? Now you can put gold bars in a home safe and it'll be part of an IRA. That way they know that you have them, but you can grow it tax-free. I mean, it's getting to a point now where they're like, listen, we're going to start cutting social programs. And Nick, I don't know if you've relied on any of those programs in the past or whatever. I don't know if anybody listening has, but they're being cut as we speak every single day. I mean, veteran benefits are getting cut. EBT cards are getting cut, and they're already pretty low for people. And then what they do with those is they just go to like the corner store because they can't really like drive or ride anywhere and get groceries. And then at the corner store, they're food deserts, man. So we have a massive epidemic. It's all feeding the same horrible people at the top that want you to be sick, want you to feel like crap, want you to have no money, want you to have no chance. And as far as being the land of the free and the land of opportunity, I mean, if you didn't start out with at least a decent foundation, it's really, really, really tough to get going. So I think we could do a lot more for people if we really look at what we pay. We're easily over 50% when you look at every tax you pay. So it goes right to the largest military the world's ever seen, and we don't really benefit.
Yeah, and that's why we gotta just be more self-reliant on our own communities, dude. Like, this weekend I'm gonna have a little meetup at my house to teach people how to use cryptocurrencies and stuff like that, because this is a really awesome opportunity for people, especially young tech-savvy people who have grown up on computers their whole lives, to take advantage of that on several different reasons. I mean, first of all, it's an investment. You can make you could gain wealth by, investing in cryptocurrencies. Second of all, you take your money out of the bank, which, basically everybody's got a bank account. Even if there's not much in it, you still got a bank account, and that money is still being used by your bank to make profit off of your hard work, which they don't share with you. It's a really, modern banking is really it's a joke. If people knew how much they were getting taken advantage of, they would be up in arms. But they got all these nice commercials, and the bank's going to help you do this and do that, and
banks suck
and that. The bank, the fact of the matter is, the bank gets your money. They use it to loan it out to people, many times in a predatory kind of way, and they make interest and profit off of it, and they don't share it with you. In fact, in some places like in Japan and Europe, the interest rates are actually negative. So they're not only are they using your money to make profit, they're not even giving you interest. They're taking your money from you. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, essentially you're paying for stability and security of not having your physical assets at your house. But like I just said, you can have a gold bar IRA. Why wouldn't you just take, if you're worried about cryptocurrency and digital economy, if you're worried and you think that tomorrow the world will end and every single server in the entire grid worldwide is going to fry and every paper trail is just going to lead nowhere, and you want to have gold bars in a safe in your house, you can. And then you can put it in an IRA, and that way it's insured by the government and it's growing tax-free. And then what does the government get out of it? They know exactly where your gold bars are. So, I mean, in the event of that worldwide collapse, they'll probably come try to grab them anyway. But that goes without saying. Anything is better than having your money in a large bank. At the very least, next step, bring it to a credit union. The NCUA is much more secure than the FDIC. The FDIC maxes out at $250 per account, and it's like $100 for a personal account. But good luck ever getting that money in a timely fashion, if at all, and if the entire amount. Because you can look up IndyMac, which was a federal bank that failed in LA, and a lot of people that had over $100,000, they got $100,000 back, and the rest it wasn't insured, so they didn't get it back. And then a bunch of people just got percentages of what they had in there because the fund ran out.
Yeah, and so the other thing too is about with cryptocurrencies is that you actually own your cryptocurrency. It's not laying around in a bank somewhere, and that's one of the beauties of decentralized finances is that you actually become your own bank. Your phone or your computer, your tablet, it becomes your bank, and you gain interest that goes right into your own account. So the second thing, so part of that first thing is that it takes away power from the banks. And so it's an investment. It takes away power from the banks. It gives you a kind of peer-to-peer ability to do private transactions that aren't cash, because, cash, I still do a lot of transactions in cash, especially when I'm dealing with friends and stuff like that. But when you use your debit card, there's a paper trail. And sometimes you want a paper trail, right? If you're making expenses that you plan on writing off and that kind of thing, you might want that. But other times you may not want a paper trail. If you're buying something that maybe, it may be illegal, or it may be frowned upon, or it may be whatever. I spend plenty of money all the time on things that I don't want other people knowing about, like, just because people have their reasons. And that's the other thing about cryptocurrencies is that you can maintain your privacy if you want to, because there's some of these currencies are, you're able to make completely anonymous transactions where nobody's ever going to know who bought and who sold and who received it and who sent it. Like, so, the benefits here are many over. And so, I'm going to host a little get together at my place this weekend and like teach people about this, so that they can go out and then they could teach their family about it and their friends. And sooner or later, like, we could start having major effects from a non-governmental standpoint. I mean, the whole part of the other reason about cryptocurrencies is that they can't be regulated really by governments. I mean, sure, governments can try to ban them, and the Chinese government is trying to control Bitcoin, but China remains the largest market for Bitcoin, despite the government's meddling in it. And so that's the other thing too, is like this cryptocurrency stuff, it's more effective activism than trying to go out and make people vote for a certain candidate. This stuff actually takes away power from the banks, unlike politicians who say they're going to take power from the banks and don't. They never do.
Nick, we need to create a new bill and get it pushed through that's going to mandate that every representative in a governmental capacity must be paid in cryptocurrency.
Yeah, imagine.
I mean, wouldn't that change their mindset? Because, then they're not at the whim of banks and their donors and their stock portfolio. They're actually going to really want the economy in general to improve. I saw the thing that you shared today about Singapore linking with one of the cryptocurrencies, and I believe cities of the future are going to follow suit because it really does make sense on so many levels. And I truly believe that it's going to, when big cities are going to adopt this, everybody's going to use it because it's going to be on your smartphone. It's totally secure because blockchains can be tracked. So if anybody's stupid enough to try to steal it, it's like a massive red flag on them. So,
yeah, I mean, you can make your cryptocurrency public. You can make them public or you can make them private. I mean, it all depends on what you're trying to do. And if you want to have digital cash, you can do that. No one will know where you're spending it at. So there's all kinds of different benefits to this stuff. And I think the point I'm trying to make, though, is that, we got to do more stuff at the community level to get ourselves less reliant on the centralized system, because the government is just one part of it, but like the deep state and like the super corporations, like the people who have monopolies over a lot of the essential things that we need and that we thrive on and that we need to survive and that we use. We need to start attacking those things from a community standpoint and start creating alternatives. And the sooner we can get more people on board with those ideas, the sooner we'll start realizing more freedom, and the sooner we'll disempower the government, dude. Because right now, as shitty as Donald Trump is, and as dumb as the shit that he says, he's still got the quote-unquote authority to launch nuclear missiles at, let's just say China or something stupid like that.
But isn't it great that the mask gets pulled off? The happy corporate salesman is gone. The man that was supposed to bridge all races and colors and creeds, and everybody was supposed to unify behind him, and he ended up dividing him, just like he was probably put in there to do anyway. I mean, now the mask is off. So if you're not awake out of your stupor yet, I'm not sure what's going to do it. But this is our ugly face. This is our underbelly. This is what we really are and what we've always been. So if we want to change it, it's possible. But the only way you can change something is if you actually admit that it is there.
Yeah, dude. Yep. And yeah, man, we talked about this on the last show. And, I really do believe that Donald Trump is a mirror image of just the populace, at least part of it, enough of it to get him elected. And I agree with you, dude. I think it's better that we have a brutally, ridiculous president to represent a brutally ridiculous country. That's what we've become. Like what I was talking about earlier with Syria. We are inside of Syria. We've set up a military base inside of their country. And when they move their troops close to our base, we said that we bombed them out of self-defense. Just try to picture this try to picture this as if it were happening here in the United States. Let's say there's a Chinese military base inside of Florida, and China says that it's here in the United States because it's trying to help us, stop a terrorist insurgency that's going on here. Which let's just say it's like a constitutionalist militia uprising. Let's just say. And China's here because, they're here to help prevent this uprising. And when the United States military gets a little too close to the Chinese base that's in Florida, China bombs us and says they were just doing it out of self-defense. Just imagine that. Just imagine that scenario. As an American, as a U.S. citizen, imagine that happening, and then you'll start seeing why I've been saying that Donald Trump is just as ridiculous as our country, because that's the kind of ridiculous shit that we do. And so we needed, I guess, in a way, we needed this. As much as I can't stand Donald Trump, as much as he's a freaking idiot and has terrible policies on almost everything, I think, we kind of needed an unmasking of the ridiculousness. Now, here's the problem. If only we could actually focus in on the important stuff, kind of like the whole Syria thing, and not focus in on the stuff that's just being made up right now by the Washington Post and the deep state, that is pretending that Russia is some kind of bully that's going around the world and just beating everybody, because they're not, because they have a tiny economy and a tiny military compared to us. I mean, yeah, they have a bunch of nukes, but they're so much weaker than us, on everything except for the nuclear weapons. That pretending that Russia is like, and they're even saying Russia was doing something with the French elections. I'm sure they're going to say something about Russia with the British election. Like, they're pretending that Russia is like the biggest threat to the world and shit. And that's like so far from the truth that it's just ridiculous.
It's true, but then at the same time, it's like compared to a big buff guy fighting a super small guy, but they both have knives. Like, there's a good ass chance that big buff guy is going to die anyway, even if he does kill that small guy. So that's where we're at right now. Like, we can kill each other, and China's just sitting back probably laughing at how stupid all of this is. But then again, they've got...
I'll tell you what China's doing. China is building the new Silk Road.
Yeah. Well, but they got North Korea, though, to worry about because they're so unstable.
Yeah, but we talked about this for the last couple of shows. The new Silk Road that China is building dude, in just a matter of several years, they're going to be so outdoing us from an economic standpoint that our military is, by the time they pass us up economically so badly that our military starts getting outdated and we won't even have the money to advance our military, and they're going to have all the money, and they're going to easily be able to build the most advanced military.
God forbid things go back to right before the Napoleonic Wars basically killed off half of China with disease. I mean, they were running the whole world in the late 1700s, and they're going to just do it again naturally. They've always run the world. And
I'm not going to advocate for anybody running the world, but I don't recall reading very many things in history about China going around and making other people live a certain way or invading their countries and stuff. I feel like China was an economic powerhouse.
Yeah. They don't invade other countries. They influence them economically. And the reason why, Nick, is it's not like they don't want to, but historically, because China's so many people and so different in the way they think. And you know what I mean? Like, even though this communist government over there has been a unifying force and tried to crush religion and rebellion, people still are, practicing secretly. People still think the way they think.
Such a big, diverse place. People don't realize China is super diverse and a lot of different prevailing philosophies and stuff, religions and stuff over there that, the government has tried to snuff out, but in the end, that's why they still have all this censorship and shit, is because they can't beat it. They can't kill it. They could just try to...
They'll never kill it. But that's what keeps them from also becoming an empire, is the people inside they just don't ever get behind the idea of an invasion of another country, like a full mobilization. So, I don't think we have something to worry about with China becoming like, an overreaching empire.
Yeah, I don't think we have to worry about them becoming us.
No. I mean, they want to buy the world. And you know what? That's not a violent way to do it. And it's completely within their means and grasp. And it's their right to do so if they're producing more than other countries are, to buy more.
Yeah, it is going to be interesting. And so, if you could see this in a lot of the mainstream reporting too, is that the world is with Donald Trump coming in, the world is kind of like, okay, like I think the world is realizing what we've kind of been realizing is that, the U.S. empire, the quote unquote empire has reached its peak, and that it's time to start looking for new partners. And this is the case with Europe and Germany, especially. Many people in Asia, look at the Philippines. You remember what Duterte was saying just a couple months ago when Obama was still in office, and how he would basically, like Duterte, longtime ally of the United States in the Philippines, was basically saying, we're done with the U.S. They've been treating us like a doormat to Asia for way too long. It's like China it seems to be a better partner, and I'd rather work with China and Russia than work with the United States. Like, the president of the Philippines literally was saying that for months while Obama was still in office. He hasn't said too much against Donald Trump because I think they're just telling everyone to shut up. Like, over there, China's like, all right, don't say nothing else because he's doing it for us. We don't even have to do anything. Like, let him implode the place. And so, yeah, dude, I mean, it really is like a coming to realization. This is reality for us. Donald Trump is the real America. This lying, kind of just arrogant foreign policy, that's us. That's the U.S., unfortunately. It doesn't have to be. We can take it back, and we can be a force for damn good for the whole world. Like, the U.S. could bring about world peace. They wanted to. If we wanted to. If we mobilize enough people, we could. But right now, we're unfortunately a force for not good things, for bad. We're doing bad stuff around the world. And
we're doing bad things for the greater good, unfortunately. That's their philosophy, Nick. It's like they don't want ever to have another world war. So to them, to preemptively stop World War III from ever happening, they need to control all the world from like a big giant vampire squid, dude. Like, well, that's
and getting extremely rich in the process certainly is.
They deserve it. They're preventing World War III. They're bringing a future of law and order.
Yeah, that's what they think, I guess.
Well, they will, Nick. I mean, that's the biggest problem, though, is without freedom, what point is life?
Yeah. We don't need to regulate everything and tell everybody what to do. We need to let people live. I mean, shit.
Are you going to get chipped, anyone listening, so that you can be a slave to the slave economy, or are you going to go off-grid and deal in Bitcoin and do something you can do at home?
Yeah, and these are some interesting questions that are going to have to be answered pretty soon. The technology is coming around. Reality is coming around.
$15 an hour, that's going to be your choice.
What are we going to do? Thank you for tuning in. Back. Shut up.
This is live through the stereo. Go and let it blow, blow through the stereo. I'ma let them know through the stereo. Yo, here we go through the stereo, stereo. This is live through the stereo. Go and let it blow, blow through the stereo. I'ma let them know through the stereo. Yo, here we go through the stereo, stereo.
JJ Inc. from Against the Wall, and you're listening to UCY.TV.